mobility, the motility, and the health of semen. In women, they should go and get themselves checked if their endometrium is healthy, their uterus is healthy, their ovaries are healthy, they have enough eggs, and stuff like that, which a gynecologist is going to perform. Now, once everything has been ruled out that they're healthy, both the man and the woman, then we go on to further investigations. One thing I have to point out very, very upfront is that senescence means age. Age plays a huge role when it comes to fertility. According to the stats, even before that, women are born only with certain number of eggs. And with every menstruation that they have, they lose those eggs. So the longer you go without conceiving, the lesser the chances of you becoming pregnant. For example, at the age of 20, you can say about 80% of the women will respond to fertilization, or if they are going for an IVF treatment, 80% of them will respond positively. And if you take the age further up for females, say towards 40, they only have 10% eggs left, which would respond positively. So that is how much of a difference is created. So when you want to have kids, we always recommend that you try early on in your life rather than going later in your life. Okay, so the other factors that play a big, huge role is like the menstrual cycle in a woman. Is it regular? It is irregular. All these things have to be, whether they are heavy bleeders, those have to be seen and corrected. In a lot of the instances that we find with women coming in who are infertile, we'll find PCOS as one of the biggest contributory factor. In fact, about 8 to 12% of the women have PCOS when they come in for infertility. And simply by reversing that PCOS, we can find positive results. Now, I wouldn't say that.
मैं एक बारी इंटरप्ट करने वाली हूँ. आपने PCOS का नाम लिया है, तो एक बारी थोड़ा सा exactly वो क्या condition होती है, एक बारी mention करके then you can continue doing the rest.
So PCOS is polycystic ovarian syndrome, where there's multiple cysts on your ovaries, which hinder you getting into an ovulatory state. Okay, so PCOS could have many causes. It can have, and usually how we discover PCOS is you would have very, very heavy periods. Sometimes women will come in and they'd have more facial hair, or their hair's fallen off, or they have increased belly fat. Once we go into checking their blood levels, we'll see that the testosterone levels are really high. So that would then we would put them in the PCOS category at that time. In the males, we don't have PCOS, but we could have pre-diabetes. And the symptoms for both of them, the telltale signs would be fatigue after meals, craving of sugars, and increased insulin levels in the blood. So these three symptoms are same for men as well as women. So any of these three are present, you should definitely get yourself checked up, rule out pre-diabetes, and if there is PCOS, make sure that you kind of address it and reverse it. So because these are really, for example, even in men, if they think that, okay, so it's just pre-diabetes, we should be just fine. It's not. So what happens is that the high insulin levels, they will activate aromatase, and they will bring that testosterone down, and that will bring down the sperm count. So these are the small things that a person has to really make sure that they're looking at. Other causes that we definitely need to look at and see are and address are thyroid health, both for men and women. So hypothyroid, and not just check in for hypothyroidism, but also check in for antibodies. That is, if you do you have any autoimmune conditions related to thyroid, which is the Hashimoto. So trying to figure those out and addressing them. Prolactin levels are really important. Your BMI. So it's not that, like, it's, and we see it very often that when the BMI is higher, women always kind of try, I mean, they find it difficult to conceive. Um, because what happens is that the excess fat, it increases the adipocyte levels, and the adipocyte levels, they disrupt the pituitary ovarian, as well as the testicular hormones. So having a high BMI, having high fat reserves, will inhibit the ovaries as well as the testes. So ovaries in the women and testes in the males. So of course, losing weight is really, really important and will increase your chances of fertility. One of the most overlooked part of this whole cycle is people with low BMI. People think, this one is, not fat, so should be very easy to conceive. If you're thinking, if I'm saying that high BMI and people who are overweight are going to have difficult time conceiving. But what happens is that women with low BMI, either they're not eating, have like some kind of a psychological issue as regards to food intake or caloric intake, or they're overtraining, as in they're exercising too much. What happens is that the body goes into a starvation stage. And when they're avoiding fat a lot, what does fat do? Fat makes hormones, so they're not even going to have hormones to get fertile. So people think like going on a low fat diet and losing weight. No, that's not going to help. So there's like a method to madness as to where the sweet spot is. So that is one. Another factor that could be playing into people not being able to conceive is inflammation. So inflammation could be anything from an autoimmune condition to IBS to ulcerative colitis to Hashimoto's to rheumatoid arthritis and many more. So what does inflammation do? That inflammation brings down the egg reserves in females. So since I like already said that and mentioned that in the beginning of my conversation, is that women only have certain amount of eggs when they're born. So if the number of eggs is reduced secondary to the inflammation that is present in your body, of course it reduces the chances of fertility. And when it comes to inflammation, it's easier to treat for fertility in males. That's where they have one advantage, because their bodies, unlike women, we're born with only a specific number of eggs, and that's all we have to play with for the rest of our lives. But in men, they constantly keep making the semen, so it's easy to reverse it with diet and lifestyle. So that is where they have one edge. So these are like the kind of factors that play in, along with stress. So stress plays like a major role in disrupting your hormonal balance. That is one thing. People who do not eat essential fatty acids, which are precursors to making hormones, again, you're compromising your fertility there.
So Mona, you have touched upon, sorry. you're touching upon, आप काफी अलग अलग तरीके के आंसर्स और बातें कर रहे हैं, और मुझे कुछ कुछ चीजों में काफी डिटेल में जाना है। तो मैं एक दो सवाल आपसे भी पूछती हूँ, ये कि जब
हाँ,
आपने बात करी मेन में 3 या 4 कारण हैं, आपने कहा कि हो सकता है डायबिटीज रिलेटेड हो सकता है, बीएमआई भी उनका हाई हो सकता है, दे विल हैव द सेम इश्यूज इन टर्म्स ऑफ एडिपोज टिश्यू एटसेट्रा दैट यू वर टॉकिंग अबाउट. Whereas in women, it's more to do with, like you said, there is a certain number of eggs with age. The factor gets reduced. Then there is BMI, there's PCOS. So these are a multitude of issues. Is there any test that normally when they go to a medical professional, the medical professional, when they're suffering from infertility, they will be told do X number of tests.
yes.
Can a test really determine whether nutrition related item, whatever issues are existing, or will they only determine that, yeah, maybe you're diabetic, you also have a bad BMI, you tend to be on the borderline of, something else. So how clear are the tests in indicating that resolving your nutrition related issues, would you be able to reverse this issue and then be able to conceive?
Okay. So when it comes to testing, what are the things that I'm looking for? Right? Is that your question?
Absolutely. So where
Okay.
would we
So,
really stand?
so yeah. So then checking, number one is physical examination. Number two is the blood serum examination. So we need to, of course, make sure that we have a very, very comprehensive blood test. In that blood test, I want to see a complete thyroid profile along with the antibodies. I want to see your inflammatory markers, which is your HSCRP. I want to see your prolactin levels. I want to see insulin, the most important, because if you are insulin resistant, you know what, you're going to have a huge time, a difficult time in getting pregnant. So these are the kind of things, vitamin D levels, and of course, all your hormones, all your sex hormones, that would be estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, your DHEA. So all these factors have to be assessed in trying to determine where do I start my intervention. Plus, of course, if any of these is inconclusive, along with, of course, your BMIs and all those, then we go into heavy metal, toxicity. Are there any heavy metals in your blood? For example, if you're living in a place where there's a lot of pollution, usually pollution will come with mercury toxicity, cadmium toxicity, stuff like that. If you're eating a lot of food that is laden with pesticides, you would have those in your blood. That, of course, will cause increased amount of toxicity and hormonal dysregulation. So all these, if so these kind of things will then be the second rung of testing if the earlier ones are inconclusive.
So to break it down, then, if we were to figure out that I have high thyroid,
Okay.
um,
Low or high?
low or high, if when you said
Okay.
the test for thyroid gets done, what happens then? You figure out that there is an issue at the thyroid level. Then how is the intervention done?
Yeah, so once we determine that the thyroid is sluggish, okay, which is hypothyroidism is one of the most common diseases out there. So then that has to be addressed and that has to be fixed. So you could go the natural way with the bioidentical hormone replacement, or you could go the conventional way, which would be your synthroids or whatever it is, and correct your levels.
So when you talk about nutrition, Mona, and if again the tests confirm that somebody has high blood sugar levels, or somebody has body mass, which is obviously probably be apparent as well, somebody has PCOS, would that then be something that we would decide what course of action needs to be done in terms of their nutritional diet? And what exactly is the difference of the diets that you would be prescribing?
So, you know what? When it comes to a diet that we're trying to prescribe for, say, somebody who's become insulin resistant, it could be male as well as female. It's going to be the same, right? What do we need to do to get rid of that insulin resistance while increasing our fertility? It's all the principles of good, healthy nutrition. Number one is get rid of the sugar. A human body was just supposed to digest only about 20 teaspoons of sugar in a year. What are we doing now? Now our bodies are inundated with about 152 pounds of sugar a year, plus about 146 pounds of starches per year, which are converted to sugar. So our bodies are not primed to take in that overload of sugar. So what happens there? The body produces insulin to counteract that sugar, and we still keep eating sugar. We keep eating sugar again and again. Body keeps producing more insulin and makes you want to get like, yeah, and it makes you want more sugar. So this cycle keeps going on, and at the end of the thing, insulin says, you know what, I give up. I just give up, and it stops responding. So there's an increased level of insulin in the blood all the time. Because what is insulin? Insulin is the biggest fat storage hormone in the body. So any sugar, any starches that you take will then go and get deposited in your body as fat. That is what insulin does, and that is what insulin resistance is. So what you want to do is you want to eat a diet that is absolutely clean, low in processed food, low in sugar. I would like to start off with, if fertility is my main issue, I would start off with giving up all kinds of sugars. So going on a 100% sugar-free diet is what I would say. And according to Walter Willett, who's done the research on about, I think it was 90,000 women, Harvard nurses, he found out that a high-fat, low carbohydrate diet was the best kind of a diet that helped people increase their fertility. So that is the kind of the macros that you're playing with. But along with that, you need to just make sure that you're plant forward, as in majority of your food is plant-based. We don't want to mess around with the hormones. So every animal comes with hormones, like every animal has hormones. So we try and minimize animal food. If we are taking animal food, make sure it's organic and clean and lean. All the toxins are stored in fat, so that's why we say lean protein. When it comes to vegetables, make sure that they are organic, free of pesticides and insecticides, just clean food. Just be careful how you're feeding your gut. Make sure that you're having a lot of probiotics and the fiber, which is the food for the probiotics. So probiotics and the prebiotics, because you want all these probiotics to be happy. The good probiotics are the ones that produce hormones. So you want the hormones to be produced efficiently. So make sure that your microbiome is healthy. Okay. What else do we do here? So the other things that you need to make sure is exercise. So exercise has, I'm sorry, what?
नहीं, मेरा एक सवाल इसमें ये है कि अभी हम बात कर रहे थे कि अगर हमने टेस्ट कराए तो थायराइड रिलेटेड पीसीओएस, ब्लड शुगर, हाई ब्लड शुगर, वेट प्रॉब्लम्स एक्सेट्रा। सो आपने एक इलाज बताया कि सबसे पहले मोस्ट केसेस में हम शुगर को कंट्रोल या एलिमिनेट करते हैं डाइट में से। So in all of these conditions, especially diabetes and BMI, I think that would immediately start showing a difference in the levels of their testing. Whether it will cure their infertility or not would be the secondary part of it. But बाकी जो cases हैं thyroid related या PCOS related, उनमें immediate nutrition perspective से आप क्या intervention करते हैं?
So see, with PCOS, it is insulin resistance. PCOS is secondary to insulin resistance. So what I'm talking about is the protocol for actually insulin resistance, which also leads to increased fertility. Right? So when we lower the sugar, eat low glycemic index diet, eat high fat, low starch diet, that is what controls your insulin levels, and that is what we want, and that is what will help you with the PCOS.
Okay.
Okay.
और
So
एक और सवाल है मोना इसमें ये कि आजकल प्रोटीन्स के बारे में बहुत अवेयरनेस बढ़ रही है. Some obviously are not aware enough, but there is a lot of understanding whether when you are going in for conceiving or otherwise, प्रोटीन का इंटेक बढ़ाना ऐसा काफी लोग समझते हैं खुद भी, और शायद डाइटिशियंस भी काफी हद तक उसको प्रिस्क्राइब करती हैं. तो प्रोटीन्स का डायरेक्ट रिलेशनशिप इनफर्टिलिटी में कहाँ आता है, और इसको कौन से सर्कमस्टांस में बढ़ाया जाता है?
So I would not recommend that you go ahead and go on a high protein diet. That is actually contraindicated. So protein, it is, see, when a person is already having some kind of a hormonal dysregulation, that is the reason why they're finding it difficult to conceive, correct? Hormones, if you want to regulate them, how do you regulate them? By increasing your plant food intake, not protein food intake. Every protein, every animal comes with its own hormones. Here we're trying to regulate our hormones. And if you're trying to increase the protein content, you're like pumping in more hormones. We don't want that. And those hormones, if they're not clean, they will cause further toxicity. And toxins are one of the biggest reasons of infertility. So avoiding too much protein. I'm not saying don't eat protein. I'm saying eat protein, but don't make it the biggest part of your meal. And when you're doing protein, because every single protein comes with hormones, make sure that they're pastured, that they're organic, that they're humanely treated while they're growing up, that they're not injected with more hormones or treated with antibiotics, because everything that goes inside an animal, when you eat it, it'll go inside of you, and that's what you're trying to avoid. So absolutely not. I would not recommend that you go on a high protein diet. That is the biggest myth.
Okay. So when you're talking about a plant-based diet, मोना, उसमें प्रोटीन्स का इंटेक कौन से सोर्सेस से आता है?
So then of course, like, I'm not saying go 100% plant-based. Eat protein, but eat it in a smaller quantity. Okay. So when it comes to protein, if so, your dal would be good. The kator dals, the rajma, chana, lobia, they have a higher protein content as compared to the dhuli dals. So try and eat them. Of course, your nuts and seeds are good sources of protein. If you do drink milk, make sure that it is from an A2 cow, that it is organic. Yes, then you can have some milk products like milk and yogurt. Yogurts are especially important because they are fermented, and they do have some good probiotics in them. So do that. Paneer is another one that you could have. So stuff like that is high in protein, and definitely recommended if that is the way you want to go.
Okay, coming back, we were discussing कि औरतों में और मेल्स में दोनों में infertility का issue होता है from the various issues that we were talking about. So, and women again with age, and women nowadays are having babies and going in for having babies later, right? That is the truth of what's happening. तो इस केस में जैसे आपने बोला कि आपके एग्स कम होते जा रहे हैं, तो उसका जो रिमेनिंग एग्स है उनके क्वालिटी को इम्प्रूव करने के लिए what is the kind of diet, or what are the lifestyle changes, or what is it that you need to do?
See, there's a lot of course. I mean, the first and foremost has to be, you get rid of the sugar, get rid of all the toxins. If you can go through a detoxification program, which is a medical detoxification program, then I would highly recommend that you do that. Get rid of the toxins, because those are the ones that will impede fertilization. So try and detox as much as possible. An awesome way I tell my clients, and so easy, to cleanse your liver, which is for lack of better words, the garbage disposal of your body. What I tell them is castor oil. Like, everybody has access to castor oil. If you can get organic castor oil and a muslin cloth and a heating pad, you need only three things. So just dip the muslin cloth in your castor oil, and then just spread it over your liver, so it is like this quadrant of your body. At night, just lie down and just put it there, and then just take an old t-shirt, something that you don't care about, put it over that, and put a heating pad over it. Leave it there for 30 minutes. You can watch TV, read a book, whatever you want to, but at night, and then just take it off. The protocol is you do it for 4 days and then don't do it for 4 days. So it's 4 days on, 4 days off, 4 days on, 4 days off. Do it for about 2 months, and you'll see the difference. So it actually just detoxifies your liver. So a literally quick fix. And the added benefit is that it causes you to go into that state of lull. Most of my patients, including we just like fall asleep with everything on. So yeah, just be careful. You don't want to do that, because otherwise you'll just end up with oil all over the place.
बहुत
But yeah,
fascinating लग रहा है मुझे। ये बताइए कि 2 महीने के बाद में क्या रिजल्ट्स आते हैं, थोड़ा सा उसमें what are the kind of changes that you will be able to see?
see, one thing never makes a big, huge impact. It's always a bunch of things that you do that cause, a significant change, a significant noticeable change. So maintaining a healthy lifestyle, like forever, it's a lifestyle change. So having a detoxification process, like in our culture, we already have so many things that are in place, right? So there's vrat, like most people do that Tuesday vrat or a Thursday vrat. What is that? It is forcing the body to detoxify from something. So like a Tuesday vrat will be without salt. So you're just trying to get that salt out, the excess salt. If some people are like edematous or have it up in their systems, it'll it'll flush that out. So and some of them, they are grain free. So going grain free is easier on your stomach. So these kind of checks and balances are already there in our culture. So they kind of detoxify our bodies. So maintaining some kind of a routine in our daily lives really helps. But it is always a combination. It is never just one thing. This is just one of the things that's one of my favorites. So when I am taking a person through a medical detox, I do include this one Ayurvedic regimen.
In the case of males, Mona, what is it that they can do through nutrition to again increase the quality of the testes and their, cure, or at least reverse to some extent the infertility issue?
Okay, so number one, I would lay off the sugar, eat clean food, eat more fiber, because if they are estrogen dominant and their testosterone is low, what you want is for them to reverse that aromatase action that's happening. So the biggest thing that'll help them is increased amount of fiber in their diet and reducing the amount of sugar, so that we can improve the amount of testosterone, and the testosterone is what will lead to increased semen production. So that is there. Reducing weight will absolutely help them. Some kind of a regular exercise, stress management, stuff like that. Good sleep, environmental toxins. If they're smoking, just lay off smoking. Bad for everybody, and especially for your sperm quality. Very, very bad. So all of these, like, simple things, like if you're drinking water, if you're carrying water in your car, make sure that it's either a metal, a stainless steel, or a glass bottle. When you keep a plastic bottle in your car and your car is sitting in heat, all the toxins, the BPAs, the phthalates, they leach into that water, and then you're drinking that water. What are those? Those are esterogenic compounds. So you need to lay off all of that, so that the quality of testosterone, which will impact the quality of semen, gets better.
आपने स्मोकिंग के बारे में बताया, मोना, अल्कोहल बताइए कि अल्कोहल से क्या नुकसान हो सकता है, और अगर आप बेबी प्लान कर रहे हैं तो एंड अल्कोहल भी कंज्यूम करते हैं, तो कितने देर पहले आपको उसका टेपरिंग करना चाहिए?
Well, see, once you get pregnant, then of course we always recommend just lay off any kind of alcohol. So giving up alcohol or tapering it down, when you start trying, that's a good idea. So for men, of course, they should, if they are heavy drinkers, then they should bring it down to like maybe 2 drinks and 1 drink for the woman. But I would say when you start trying to conceive, that's when you should start tapering off, or maybe just give it up for a bit, and until you conceive, for at least for men. And then once the lady conceives, then most of the times the men go back to their usual thing. But and the lady, of course, you have to just lay off for a while until your
Babies
born
and
birth,
maybe a
and
toddler,
are
and maybe not.
breastfeeding. Yeah,
So it takes
yeah,
a
yeah, yeah. But like, men could always be supportive and
give up completely themselves, up till the time that the woman is ready to drink again. Monu, we have lots of questions, और आपने हमने अपने दर्शकों को ये भी बताया है कि अगला एपिसोड हम लोग डिटेल में करेंगे PCOS के बारे में, जिसकी वजह से बहुत लोगों को कंसीविंग की भी प्रॉब्लम होती है, among other issues. So we'll discuss that at length. But before we wrap up, I do want to understand that in the various different areas of problem areas that we have covered, weight related हो, insulin हो, PCOS हो, जब न्यूट्रिशन का इंटरवेंशन और बेटर लाइफस्टाइल का इंटरवेंशन शुरू हो जाता है, तो कितना समय ऑन एन अप्रोक्सीमेट, बिकॉज आई वुड लाइक कि लोग जो देख रहे हैं हमारा शो, उनको तो समझ आए कि पेशेंस अगर हमें रखना है to see a radical difference and the lady to conceive, what kind of timelines are we looking at?
See, the timelines are very individual, right? So if it was an ideal situation wherein a pregnancy was planned, right? for example, okay, so let's take an example. A couple has whatever their commitments, and they feel that we have 6 months, and after 6 months we would ideally like to conceive. Starting that 6 month period, ideally I would start to detox both the man and the woman. I would start to lead an extremely clean life, give up smoking, taper down your drinking as much as possible. That would be ideal. Consume 100% clean diet. Try and remove yourself from highly polluted areas. If possible, put some air purifier inside your house. Even if it is like the worst case scenario, like even if you could put one in your bedroom where you spend probably about 10 hours a day, just breathing that clean air is going to make a lot of difference. Engaging in some kind of a physical activity which gets your body moving, gets your hormones moving, amazing idea. Starting to take probiotics, priming your body to receive that baby in a healthy fashion, amazing. Managing your sleep, making sure that your sleep is optimized by the time you're ready to conceive, because sleep could be huge stressor if you're not sleeping 8 to 9 hours a day. Managing your stresses. So if you have 6 months, for example, then you put all these checks and balances in place so that you prime your body to conceive when you want to. And of course, getting all your examinations done, making sure your blood levels, your serum levels are fine. If there is any anatomical problems, any gynecological problems, those are dealt with, they're cleared. So give yourself some time. I mean, a lot of the times it's a surprise and you can't do anything about it. But if you have time and you are planning, then try to take care of all these things.
One last question, Mona. Very often people manage to conceive, पहली बारी हो जाता है, और जब सेकंड बेबी के लिए ट्राई करते हैं तो ज़्यादा दिक्कत आती है कभी कभी. तो उस circumstance में what again would they need to go ahead and do to manage that? And again, what kind of intervention from perspective of lifestyle and food should they do?
It would be exactly the same. There won't be any difference. So you go, because see, you got to follow a method, right? There's a reason. Okay, so first time I got pregnant, maybe I was 20. The second time when I'm trying, maybe I'm 29. Maybe the number of eggs has come down. Maybe I'm smoking too much. Maybe I've moved to Delhi, where the pollution levels are really, really high, or my husband started smoking, or I've become very sedentary, or I'm extremely stressed because I have a small child that I'm running after all day. So seeing where the problem is, you have a list. You know that there is like the first component that you have to get yourself anatomically checked out by a doctor. Then you have the blood serum that you need to get checked. Then you have all these other factors that come in play. So go from north to south. So there's a method to madness. Go one by one, checklist, and rule it out.
So in a nutshell, moral of the story is कि अगर आप baby plan कर रहे हैं, first हो या second हो, सबसे पहले you have to be cognizant of the fact that whether you're living a healthy lifestyle in the first place or not, and start making those changes even before the thought of trying to conceive comes to your head.
100%.
Right. Great. I think we've covered a large range of topics, Mona. Thank you so much again, once as usual, for joining us. आप हर हफ्ते थर्सडे को हमारे साथ न्यूट्रिशन से रिलेटेड बातें करती हैं, अलग अलग टॉपिक्स पे. हम अपने व्यूअर्स को ये बता दें ज़रूर कि अगर वो किसी पर्टिकुलर टॉपिक पे अगर आपके साथ में जुड़ना चाहते हैं तो हम ज़रूर उसको कवर करने की कोशिश करेंगे. हमारे को ज़रूर लिखिएगा. आप या तो हमारे फेसबुक पेज पे छोड़िए अपना कमेंट, or you can come and join us at famhealth.in/community, or you can even email us your thoughts at support@famhealth.in. If you have any particular questions related to infertility or any of the topics that we've been discussing with Mona, please go ahead and write to us, and Mona is available to reply to them, and we'll make sure that it gets reaches you as soon as possible. Thanks once again, Mona, and it was great talking to you as usual.
Thanks, Vaishali. Thank you, everybody.